My name is Clovis Kreger, and I'm the District 5 Councillor for Woodlawn Oak Hill, where Morley Field is situated and has been since 1975, or somewhere about then. Johnny could attest to that as well. So I really want to thank everybody for taking the time to come here. This is a crucial issue for our community. And mainly for the children of Woodlawn who have no green space, no recreational athletic resources other than Morley Field. And the idea that it should be taken away from them simply to please an out-of-state developer who needs a commercial parking lot, and not just a parking lot, but wants to use Morley as a dump site of toxic, highly toxic dirt, soil, debris, and everything else from the site they're developing on 1 Moshastic Street, bury into Morley, and then cap it and pave it over. So the entire thing is indecent. It's immoral, reprehensive, and it clearly, I don't see anything other than saying it's inherently racist. So with that, what we're here for is essentially to press the Pawtucket Planning Commission regarding JK Equity's second one-year request to extend their plans to pave over Morley Field. So that's one of the things we're going to be pressing them on. The other one would be for our IDEM to reopen Morley Field and have it properly rehabilitated for the community children. I believe those are the two things. So next we have State Rep Jennifer Stewart and State Rep Sherry Cruz will say a few.
Great, thank you. Hello. As you heard, we're both state reps, and like everyone here who's joined us today, we value parks and people over parking lots. My name is Jennifer Stewart, and I represent the 59th House District.
Yep. My name is Sherry Cruz, State Representative. I represent the House District of 58 Woodlawn Fairlawn. Yeah, so Rhode Island Department of Environment Management has an environmental justice policy. Back in 2023, they fought really hard and highlighted being proud of passing this policy, right? Activists had addressed the past and present harms and actions that disproportionately hurt low-income communities like that of Woodlawn, and with many Black and brown residents being impacted. So those same neighborhoods that have been and are exposed to more pollution also experience more related health effects like asthma, cancers, and yet we see this park being paved, even though they have less trees and less parks compared to the wealthier parts of Pawtucket.
So the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management's environmental justice policy was written to address the burdens experienced by neighborhoods whose problems were not addressed by their own city governments. It was written for communities like Woodlawn. Morley Field is located in the House District I represent, and we both represent parts of Woodlawn.
So I grew up all my life in Woodlawn as a young person, and as well as my brothers. And I remember my brothers playing football, baseball there at Morley in the late 70s and the 80s. And that's why it was put there. That's why it was donated. That's why the National Park Service had donated that land there, is because that was a community that we know 50 years ago that needed that space for kids, that needed that, and that we saw, and I myself, 3 generations that needed that space, from my siblings to my kids to now my granddaughter. And it's so unfortunate that this is happening, that they're paving that field for a parking lot.
So as state representatives, we're here today to say to our state's Department of Environmental Management, uphold your commitment to environmental justice.
Yeah,
Yes.
uphold.
Yes.
Yes. Uphold your obligation to include environmental justice in your work to protect, restore, manage, and promote Rhode Island's environment, to preserve and improve the quality of life for all its people here in Pawtucket.
Yep. Yes. Absolutely.
Help the people of Pawtucket's Woodlawn neighborhood keep Morley Field as it was intended, to provide an active playing field to a long underserved and under-resourced part of Pawtucket.
Yep.
So you see, this is a failure of the city long ago. Long ago to provide green space, to keep up with maintaining that green space in Rhode Island. That resulted into a gift that it was gifted to that community because we always knew it was needed. So why the city now has neglected, closed, and locked our children out of this green space is extremely frustrating, and it needs to stop. It's a failure, right? Decades later, we see this failure. And you know, it's a convenient target to become a parking lot by doing so. And for a private developer, to help a private developer, to give them a 20-year tax stabilization agreement to take away the only field that those kids have.
It's not right. It's wrong.
So the consequence has been to deny residents across access to the park in their own community for the last 3 years. So we need Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management to deny the application to convert Morley Field and refuse to facilitate its sale to JK Equities.
We need no more talk about having an environmental justice policy. We need action, and we need you to act on that policy.
Act now. Thank you.
And up next is Elizabeth, a Woodlawn resident.
Elizabeth Souza.
Test. Yeah.
My name is Liz Sousa, and I live on Vale Street here in Pawtucket. I'm not a native Rhode Islander, but I have become so. And I moved here January 1st, 1997 as a single mom with 3 children under the age of 18. 2 of them went to Slater Middle School, the other one went straight to Shea, and then the other 2 followed her footsteps and also graduated from Shea High School, all of them high honor students. When my son was small, when he wasn't at home, I knew of 2 places where he would be. One was playing with Alma's boys in the back of her store. The other one was playing over at Morley Field. And a lot of the kids in the neighborhood at that time, they would come filled with buckets filled with tadpoles. They once in a while found gator snakes. They were in awe of the osprey flying around and nesting at Morley. And it was also a place for us kids, I still feel myself as young. We would play impromptu baseball or try to fly a kite. Or during the snow time, it was great to cross over into Shaw's without having to go up the street and around. We would cut through Morley. The kids had a great time. My grands came along, because now my kids are older, and we were doing the same thing. Back in 2022, it was surprising when we saw the locks on the gates with cop cars on either side guarding against trespassers. Nowadays, it is an infestation of rats coming around, and every day in any of the surrounding streets near Morley, you'll see dead rats, you'll see rats scurrying around, and it's because Morley Field right now is a jungle, and it's very sad and horrible to look at. And the other day I went by and I really noticed the sign says no trespassing under development. Under development of what? All right. My question, and I'm keeping my temper low, I bite my tongue. I asked the city, and Mayor Grabian, is that you were looking or just bought 14.2 acres up in Max Reed in that area over there. Why didn't you use that money to fix Morley Field? Why don't you take some of that money and hire some of the homeless people that hang around that area, give them the dignity of working and making Morley Field clean and looking better.
Yep.
I don't intend to move. My grands come, and it's very hard to explain to them, no, you can't go down to the field because it's locked up. So let's do something about it. I did review the YouTube tapings of the council meetings and such where the developers representatives stated that they didn't need Morley Field, that their building is a standalone. Then why the heck don't we open up the field?
Open the field.
No more deals for out-of-state developers.
Next we have Johnny Santos.
How you doing? I'm a lifelong resident of Pawtucket, Ward 5 resident. I was at that field when it first came into existence. That field was where all the youth of our community went, played. I played youth football there, Little League baseball, and then later on we ended up bringing a youth football organization to the field with the city's approval. What's going on right now, really, it's almost embarrassing. You talk to anybody from the state, any friends, people from down South County and stuff, anywhere I go, and you tell them what's going on, that they're going to take a green space, limited green space, from the kids of this community and pave it over with a parking lot, and people just look at me and they laugh. And they say, like, how could that be? And for me, I had a lot of trust in my government, and I still trust my government, but I just would never thought that we would be in this situation that we're in right now. I just didn't think that you could get a room full of adults to look at a park, to look at a place for kids, not for me, I'm grown, but for the kids. And you're gonna take that away and pave it with asphalt? To me, it's embarrassing. If you're a council member and you voted for this proposal, you should be embarrassed.
Shame.
You should be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you're not doing it for the adults. For me, like I said, I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not a politician. I'm here really just representing the kids of this community because I know I was there. And that field for me was very important, and it had a lot to do with my upbringing, my social skills, especially being a minority back in the 70s. It gave me the opportunity, and it gave other people opportunity to mix and see other people of different nationalities and different races. So like I said, really, to be honest, like I said, it's an embarrassment. So if you voted for this and you're on the council, you should really be embarrassed yourself because there's really nobody that I've ever talked to has ever mentioned anything about, I think this is a good idea.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, try to do this in Cumberland. Cumberland, beautiful town of Cumberland. They got green spaces all over the place. Go to Cumberland and try to take one of their green spaces.
Yep.
Go down to North Kingston. Again, it's all green. They have a multitude of green spaces. Go try to take one of their green spaces and see what's going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know why? Because they're all informed and they know their rights and they're willing to stand up for their rights. We just got to get here. We got to get informed. We have to know our rights and know that this is not going to happen. So thank you.
Adam Greenman, everybody.
Hi there, my name's Adam Greenman, candidate for mayor. Tough act to follow, thanks for that. I just want to thank all the residents that are here, all the elected officials that are here to talk about this. I think that from my perspective, we've had 2 state representatives, we've had a city councilor for that district talking about that, and this speaks to the fact that nobody's listening, that the city government needs to listen to these folks. For the last 3 months, I've been going around this city talking to folks and listening and hearing what they're looking for. They're looking for green space. They're looking for a place for their kids to be able to play. They're looking for better education. They're asking to have a better vision for our city, a better vision for economic development. And this is all the reasons that people have shared are absolutely valid, but the biggest reason is that there's no vision here. This is just a perfect example of a developer coming in, throwing around political donations, asking to have something placed here, and the city throwing everything they can at them. And so for a whole host of reasons, this is just a bad deal for our city. It's a bad deal for our kids. It's a bad deal for the residents of that neighborhood. And I just urge all of our government officials who have a say in this to reconsider it. As a member of the Planning Commission, I certainly am, and I'm grateful to all these advocates for their support and for their for lifting their voices up, and let's just hope that more people are willing to listen. So thank you.
We have Monica Teixeira de Souza.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Monica Teixeira de Souza. I'm a professor at Roger Williams University School of Law, but I'm here tonight because I grew up in this community in the 80s. My parents worked in local factories. I was part of a tight-knit Cape Verdean community, and I have so many wonderful memories of growing up here, but I have to tell you firsthand that there were very few green spaces, very few places to play. And I'm here really with a very modest request for the Planning Commission, for the City Council, for the Mayor, and it's simply to preserve Morley Field as a park. We're not asking for something new to be built. We're really just asking to save what we have, to maintain what we have for future generations of kids who are going to live in this community. Woodlawn is a place where many of the houses don't have backyards. When we walk around Woodlawn, we know that much of the surface area is paved. In 2016, there was an article in the Providence Journal, and it described Woodlawn as one of the sections of Pawtucket that was divided by Route 95 in the early 1960s. So even when we look at this across the generations, we see that this is a neighborhood that has been targeted for some of the negative consequences of development. And so let's not let those mistakes, those same mistakes, be repeated again. We know that kids in this neighborhood are often having to navigate crossing high traffic streets. They're walking past industrial areas, they're playing in parking lots, they're crossing over the freeway, and they're generally far removed from many of the amenities that we know their wealthier counterparts almost take for granted in their own communities. And there's a lot of data to support that we should be making these green spaces available and accessible to all our kids, regardless of their socioeconomic background, of their race, of their ethnicity. There's data that shows that people who have more access to green environments, such as parks, are more physically active than those who have limited access. There's also a beneficial association between green space exposure and children's emotional and behavioral health. This is an environmental justice issue. We know that this is a community that is a historically diverse community. It's an entry point for arrivals, new arrivals into the United States. And we have people in this community who work really hard. Oftentimes, they're not getting a lot of money for that hard work, but their kids have really big dreams, right? We can attest to that.
Absolutely.
That's right. So we want to ask that they listen to past residents and current residents of this community, and that they keep this space open. This is a public resource, and if we steward it wisely, we can keep it forever. I hope that our city officials won't fall prey to thinking that we need to cater to business interests, because we know in Pawtucket, those business interests don't stick around. A lot of us grew up with our parents working in factories that are no longer here. Schoolhouse Candy. We can go through the list. Most recently, we know Hasbro is leaving. There are so many places that we walk past and we say that's where the Paw Sox used to play. That's where Memorial Hospital used to be. So we're here tonight and we want to say, don't let that happen to Morley Field.
That's right. So, I want to thank everybody for coming here and showing your support, expressing your own opinions and your experiences with Morley Field and the Woodlawn area, and for environmental justice and for the children of Woodlawn who need your support. The only other concern that I had, and I feel like it's necessary for me to highlight this, is that the JK Equities has executed a mortgage deed in favor to Quonset Development Corporation and the Governor's Office, Department of Commerce. So now the state has propriety rights into the 1 Moshastic Street. And one of the concerns that we do have here is, and I'm hoping that that's not the case, that this is nothing more, the only reason why the Rhode Island Department of Commerce got involved in this is to try to find some sort of end run or back way to try to get the gifted lot. So the gifted lot statutorily is protected. Section 4526 specifically says the land that's given to the public cannot be sold, period. So the mayor and this administration never revealed to either the council or the planning commission initially when they first proposed the sale of Morley Field that one of the lots was gifted, it couldn't be sold. So after that failed, then the community put them up to task. They had to concede that they couldn't sell that gifted lot. So they executed a subsequent purchase and sales agreement trying to sell just lot 309. However, and subsequent to that, even though they promised that they were going to do something like a passive park with the gifted lot, it seems like their intention has always been contrary to what they're suggesting, because they first try to have Morley Field declared as the site of a former rubber manufacturing company that burnt down in 2020 in Woonsocket, and submitted a brownfield assessment application for specifically that purpose. And as soon as we found out about it, we notified DEM and EPA, correct. That's the word I can think of. Sorry. And the EPA must have got a hold of that, rescinded the application, said no, we're not doing this. But it was a flat out misrepresented by the former Pawtucket Planning Commission director, not commission, the Pawtucket Planning and Redevelopment Agency. She's no longer with the firm. So once that's failed, and you would have thought they would still proceed and try to do something with the other lot, providing that they were able to be successful. They are once again, and this is what we believe to be, is that the Rhode Island Commerce, according to section 4264-9, condemnation power, may be able to supersede the statutory protection allocated to lot 291, and because now since they have proprietary interest to 1 Moshastic Street, and if 1 Moshastic Street needs the gifted lot, they could technically do a condemnation. So this it's reprehensive. It's dirty, it's underhanded, and it's reflective of what this administration has done to the city of Pawtucket, particularly the Woodlawn area. They have taken 2 of their parks already. Out of the 4 parks that existed in the Woodlawn area, which were funded by the National Park and the Land and Water Conservation Fund, Laurel Hill is gone. They do what they do. They neglect it, and then they eventually dismantle it, and then say, oh, it's not being used, and then expropriate it illegally for private interests. They did that with Newell Avenue, which was also a basketball court and a playground for the kids in Woodlawn.
Shame.
And they took that away, did the same thing, sitting there completely dismantled, not of use. So if they are successful in taking Morley Field, the Woodlawn area, and the children, we were left with 1 park, Payne Park, which is not even green space, it's a basketball court with a little playground next to it. So this is shameful. It should be shameful on this administration, the planning commission, if they decide to go ahead and approve this extension.
Save Morley Field! 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 Save Morley Field!
You good, Clovis? So finally, I hope that Governor McKee and his Department of Commerce will not stoop to such levels and aid in the inherently racist land proposal that's being done by JK Equities, especially in terms of taking Morley Field from the children. We're talking about children.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.